All right, back where we're at. We continue to shape. Basically, this is, I tell you, this is a good project for beginners because it's a shaping project. You just kind of, there's not a lot of things that are real. See that? Bring this down just a little bit more in here. Get a little bit more bevel to it. Now, if you want to make you like a little, real fancy little knife to go on your wall or something like that out of wood, you can really bring it to the point where it just looks like the original almost. The blade just being thin, but like I said, we don't want to forget that this is a toy. And see the blade now? It's up in here. Okay, now look at that, see? Now I said you can bring that blade down real thin, but you don't want to do that as a, you know, if a child's going to play with it, because a child is pretty rough on things. Remember that. Now, like I said, when we were little, my dad would just cut out this piece. There'd be no out of plywood, and there wouldn't be any shape to it necessarily. It would just be a, and they work fine. They work real good. But my father was not a carver, and I had seen some knives much like this that were carved for richer kids or wealthier children. They were really neat. And sometimes they would use different wood. Even this would be a different piece of wood. In other words, the guard would be a different piece of wood. They were usually carved out of a hardwood, like a cherry or something like that. They were really beautiful little pieces, but they were toys. They were used as toys. Back then, people didn't care what you used it as. I mean, we didn't worry as much about art as they did about making a living. So, but if a kid was skilled enough, he could do it himself. And a lot of these young kids that were back in the woods and things like that, a lot of them had the skill to carve some pretty neat things. They just didn't have the tools or the clock. Let me go back here. Sorry. Actually, we're getting, I want to thin this up just a little bit though. It still is not what I want it to be. Be real careful in there. There we go. Now we're getting it there. Hey, hey. Same thing here. I'm going to give it a little in there. There we go. Give that little. There we are. Do that little deal in there. Take a little bit more off in here. People think these were just for boys, but girls like to play with them too. Mostly girls played with girl things because they played with other girls, but tomboy girls and stuff like that, they enjoyed doing things like this. There was nothing wrong with a tomboy girl. Kind of come up here and try to same thing here. There we go. And most of the time what they would do is they wouldn't even paint these things. They would leave them a natural wood, see, for the children. So they would leave them a natural wood. Oh, I'm sorry. hit the camera. I've been smooth this out. Let's look at our little back here. Let's kind of bring that down just a little bit. Shape that up. Getting there. It's pretty almost there, I tell you what. Wasn't. Now what they usually did is they sanded these things smooth. They sanded them completely smooth. I kind of like the carved look. I'll sand it just a little bit, but I still like the knife cuts in them and everything like that. Makes it shows that it's carved. Yeah. So this is, I said, this is a good project for a beginner to learn how to shape something, whether you want it. Okay. Well, let's look at it for a minute. Let's look at the blade. See there? Take that off right there. All right. Well, we're getting down to where we want it. And the rest of it will basically be, and I would suggest that if you want to, you just take some sandpaper and knock the edges off of it if you want it. Sand it down a little bit, make it smooth. Some of you, most of you don't even have to use sandpaper. You got those sanding machines. Just kind of knock it off. And that's my grandson playing a game in there, and I'm fixing to go in there and tell him to quiet down. Oh, these kids, they get on those games. They just don't know what this era is, and that's fine. You know, you don't have to know what that era is, but still, everything is just basically handed to them. I mean, they not handed to them, but it's just so realistic now to them. They don't understand this era or these things. But you know what? They see it, and like you saw the gun and stuff, and they get excited about it. All right, let me. We're just about got this thing finished, so.